So now we'll do part 2 of our Llama project. So we're going to be doing the background, and I hope you have your Llama and painted and cut out, and we're going to set him off to the side. And just to refresh your memory, what we're doing is we're creating the look of a woven Peruvian textile. So what we want to do, and we can keep this really simple, what we want to do is find my pencil again. Okay, now we're ready for part 2 of our Llama project. So I hope you have your Llama drawn and painted and cut out. And we're going to put this off to the side. We're going to work on the background this week. And so what, just to refresh your memory, what we're going for is the look of a Peruvian woven textile on the back. Okay, so I'll set this off to the side as well. And you can do this first with your pencil if you want, but you don't have to. What we're going to do is take our oil pastels and just use, different colors, nice bright colors. I would stay away from the browns and the grays. And we are going to create lines. Now you may use a ruler or a book that you might have, a heavy piece of paper or cardboard. We're not being real exact here. And we're just making lines across. And we're going to use different colors for those lines. Try to make them as straight across as possible, but it's okay if they're not. And you can make them different widths. So we'll have some that are let's see, we'll use red next, that are wider than others. Now, if your oil pastels have gotten a little messy, as we've used them for several projects, you can just take your fingernail and kind of scrape off the messy part. Otherwise, it'll come out as black on your background. You might want to have somebody else hold your straight edge down for you. And then I'm going to use yellow. So we're going to just walk our way up the paper, using different colors. If you want to do a pattern or something, that's okay too. This is your own creation. My last one, I'll do the light blue. Okay, so now it's time for you to make your patterns. And I'll get out my, you can do whatever you want. We've got loop-de-loops, we've got hearts, we've got squares, diagonal lines. We've got a solid line here. So it really is whatever you want. Now we're just going to do the line work with our oil pastels, and then we're going to come back over it and use our watercolors to paint the stripes themselves. Okay, so we're just going for patterns here. And so I'm going to start down at the bottom. Got some oil pastel stuff here. Okay, I'm going to start down at the bottom. And again, I'm just going to do simple patterns. And just make them colorful and go all the way across the page. Okay, so if you're getting down to the nubs, just take your fingernails again and peel off that paper. Okay, and then we'll go on to another color. We'll do orange. And I'm just going to do some white wavy lines. Again, we don't need to make this fancy. Simple and colorful all the way across. Again, my pink has some black on it, so I'm going to scrape that off. Be careful about getting your arm and your hand in your oil pastels. I'm going to make some. And then I'm going to go the other way. So these are just random loop-de-loops. There we go. Let's see. I'll use the red. Let's see. And with the yellow, I always like to do spirals. So I'm going to do spirals. Let's see, what do I want to do here? I can do big circles. I can fit one more in there. Do some stripes on it. So I'm just kind of playing around, not really planning out too much what I'm doing. Some might say that that shows, but I think it's just fun to just create and see what happens. Okay, and then I'm going to use I think I'll go back to this green so I can echo the ends. But what I'm going to do underneath one is make a smaller triangle. And then you've got a completely different looking design. There we go. All right. So we need to get all of our little crumbs off. You can blow, wipe very lightly because you don't want to smear your... Okay, good. Now we're almost done with this. What we're going to do is take our watercolors, either the tube or the cake, whichever you prefer, and your large brush. And we're not going to try to, I mean, you can if you want, if you've got the time, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to paint over everything with a color. Okay, now obviously I don't want it to be the same color that I'm painting over, and I want it to have enough water in it that it will in fact show through. So you need some water, you need paper toweling, you need your watercolor paint, and then we're going to paint over it, and it's going to look really cool. Get up on the edges. And we'll do let our wax resist technique work wonders. Okay, so I think that I will use my orange for the next one. If you're using the tubes, you don't need to put out too much. Little goes a long way with the watercolor tubes. Okay, so now I'm going to use a purple. Make sure you have your brush nicely cleaned out between colors. Ooh, that looks really good with the purple over the yellow. we just keep selecting different colors and paint all the way down. Now this is kind of a red on red, but they're two different shades of red, and so the oil pastel will show up. Just am experimenting to see how that works. Okay, I'm going to get a nice fun blue out. All right, 2 more stripes to go. So I think I will go with a Prussian blue. By the way, I continue to get really positive responses from the pictures I post on social media of your work. People are truly impressed with your artistic abilities. So that's pretty cool. You should be proud of yourselves and hopefully having fun. Okay, so now we're going to take a little break and let this dry. This needs to be thoroughly dried before we glue on our Llama. Okay, so fun. Thank you, and I'll be back in just a little bit after you've had a chance to dry your work. Okay, so we have our background all dried, and it's time to glue on the Llama to the background. And you can use either bottle glue or a glue stick, but just make sure that you get close to the edges. So we don't have stick-ups. Be careful at the eyelashes there, and then do some in the center. There we go. And then we want to eyeball it so that it is in the center, and we're going to have it all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to finger measure. That's pretty good. You want it to be straight. And then when you're happy with that, and slowly bring your hand up, rubbing it. Putting some pressure on. There you go. So there's the finished project. I like how fun and bright and happy the Llama looks, but okay, job well done. Now, as with anything where we've used a lot of watercolor on our paper, you want to put this under some heavy books or boxes or whatever overnight, just to make sure that it lays flat. Okay, thank you.